All right, well, thank you for your attention. I am happy to welcome you back to another session, to the last session of the day. We are here with Jamila Robinson and Paola Velez to bake through the Afro-Latin Pantry, and we're very excited about it. Before we do that, I did want to mention, you'll notice outside near the hospitality desk, something we haven't been able to mention yet, is that we have a video rotunda. It will be that sort of large black circular area. And so if you have a chance and you want to pop in there, our program team has curated a selection of videos featuring some of the presenters in Worlds of Flavor Africa. And just, if you're looking to get sort of a deeper dive into their work and, some of the issues that we've been talking about. So that's going to be there for the rest of the conference. So on a break or, and if you feel like you need to escape someone socially and you want to get in there, but it's a nice, sort of museum space, so we appreciate that. I am going to introduce Jamila Robinson, and you saw her earlier as a wonderful moderator for Cooking the Diaspora. It was a great talk. Thank you for that, Jamila. She, again, is a valued Wolf Advisory Committee member this year, and also every time I'm looking at your Instagram account, I'm like, she's in Paris, she's in Tokyo, she's making a beautiful, delicious dessert, and then she does a triple axel, and there she is. But anyway, so I'm going to pass it over to Jamila, and then we have the wonderful Paola Velez with us. So please welcome.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Thank you again for being here. I know it's getting late in the day, but I'm so excited because we're going to have pies with Paola. So excited. It's the Paola Velez show. I'm so thrilled because, it's going to get really informal. Paola is one of the best bakers on the planet, and one of the most exciting personalities. And just not only just a joy, but she can bake her face off.
That's true. I will say that. But the best in America, I don't think so.
Take the compliment. I said I said one of the best on the planet.
On the planet?
On the planet.
Maybe in Pluto, but not on the planet.
It's a big planet, but
there's too many of us. There's so many talented people that don't get their shine and their due, so.
And so I think it's really important that we acknowledge that. Because there's so many people who don't get their shine and don't get their due, but I'm gonna make sure that I give you your shine and your due in the moment, deservedly so, because we can talk more about
the pie,
yeah, but also your work
from.
With Bakers Against Racism.
Oh, that's true.
I think we should probably give a little shout out to the work, because it's not only about baking, but the social justice movement that you pull together. You want to tell us a little bit about, you want to say a little bit about that?
So for those of you that came for pie only, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about something that's really near and dear to my heart. And you're going to have to sit through it because there's probably going to be a little bit of pie left over at the end. So, don't leave yet, But Bakers Against Racism is an organization that was able to fundraise, but not only fundraise, champion Black lives, Black joy, Black food, Black creatives, and give the platform to bakers to utilize their own hands, their own trade, and their own pies to fundraise over $1.8 million in 1 week in 2020. And counting.
And you came back this year to do more for not only Bakers Against Racism, but for reproductive rights as well.
Actually, we've never stopped baking, So since 2020, we've championed causes like AAPI Lives, we baked for Ukraine, we baked the vote because needed, to make sure that stuff happened, right? And now most recently, we've been championing for our own bodies to have the choice, the freedom to be able to bake pies whenever the heck we want to bake them.
Let's bake some pies. Let's bake some pies. So I love to tell people, and Paola knows this, my love language is pie. If I like you enough, I've probably made you a lemon tart.
Me too.
Yeah, it's like, but so you kind of have that same zhuzh for pies.
Je ne sais quoi, you know what I mean? That little joie de vivre, right?
C'est parfait.
C'est parfait. Merci.
But so you're going to make a pie that
Yeah.
is going to take us through the entire Afro-Latin kitchen and all of the ingredients. Not the kitchen, the pantry.
The pantry,
So
the kitchen.
talk about this pie.
Okay. Also, if you guys are joining the webcast right now, I'm really grateful because at the East Coast it's like 8 p.m. So thanks for having dinner with me and streaming this. So, but we are going to be making tamarind pecan pie. So a long time ago, when I was a kid, I didn't understand where I fit in the world. I, am a daughter of an excuse me. I have a stutter actually. So please pardon me because every now and then it sneaks out.
Don't apologize. You are speaking freely.
Oh, thank you. It's really funny because I'm actually a really shy person in real life. And when I was growing up, I was bullied, right? And I actually had a stutter. I couldn't look people in the eye. So now that I'm doing this type of work, every now and then my stutter sneaks out. And she just wants to say hi to y'all because I can't control it. But that's what makes us human and that's what makes us perfectly imperfect. But as a daughter of an immigrant woman, she came to the United States with less than 2 years and got pregnant with me. She didn't know America. She didn't know what it was to be American. And then she had to raise an American. That was very confusing for me and her, But through food, I was able to go all the way back to the beginning, which was Africa, And I was able to take the transatlantic slave trade and utilize that as a journey of homecoming for me and my baked goods. And I found purpose and I found a place. I found people throughout that journey that look like me, that eat like me, that sound like me, and that make jokes like me, right? So this tamarind pecan pie is an ode to Americana, the almighty pecan pie. However, I utilize a little bit of tamarind and make it go a long way.
So tell me about adding the tamarind, because pecan pie is such a staple. It's so familiar. Talk about adding the tamarind.
So for me, a lot of baking, yes, baking is a science, but I don't want to say baking is such a science that I actually started off in savory, and then I learned how to bake in the kitchen. I was relegated to like the pastry pink kitchen, but I like it now, and honestly, I utilize the science behind, the way the molecules break down when you heat them, when you let them stew, or when tamarind is mixed with water, just water, to make something that resembles corn syrup. Because that is usually the main ingredient of pecan pie. But I figured, why only use corn syrup, right? We love the glucose in America.
Right.
But, what can I say? But 50-50. So I use 50% corn syrup, 50% homemade tamarind paste. I have some here, but I'm not actually going to strain that in front of you guys because I'm lazy. So here we have it, already strained out.
Magic of television, magic of the Palace show.
But before we start all of this, I want to start my pie dough because with everything, the pie, that's the best part of the pie. The crust is the most important part. The filling is arbitrary.
We all want a pie that has a really good crust ratio.
I agree. So we're going to put in some flour in here. Just regular all-purpose flour. If you're an avid home baker and you see me not sifting this, I apologize. I'm so sorry. But I just mentioned that I'm lazy. I'm a little lazy.
Well, but do you really need to sift the dough when you're making pie crust? If you're just making a pie crust,
Honestly,
it's not a...
it really depends on the recipe, right? Traditional recipes that ask for sifted flour, sift the flour first before utilizing it, whether it's gram measurements or by metrics. But here, I just want this to be the main event. I need it to be a little strong, and I need it to be a little elastic because I'm going to be treating it a little different, you know. So
Give it a little, you're going to give it a little something, something.
So we have a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, right in the bowl. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This is for later. And then we're going to put in our really cold butter. It's actually still frozen.
Nice. Ice cold butter, always.
Ice cold butter. And then we're just going to use our paddle attachment. Baking should be easy, and especially because when we bake, you know, either it's summertime, I don't know who made the rules. It's summertime or it's like wintertime and it's the holiday season and you're gift shopping, gift wrapping, doing this, doing that. I'm going to give you the best pie dough. It's in the pamphlet, it's in the booklet. So you're going to be using this pie dough all year round. It's an evergreen recipe.
It's an evergreen recipe. I love that.
Oh, I wonder if the mixer is going to be loud. We'll find out, right?
Oh, she's on.
So here we have our beautiful just butter, flour, sugar, salt. And what we're doing with the paddle attachment is we're breaking it down. I personally run really cold, but even my tiny cold frigid hands melt butter, right? And honestly, the real thing that we want in this pie dough is for the butter to stay cold. That is what's going to give it aeration, it's going to give it the lift, it's going to give it the crunch, and it's going to help you bake a beautiful pie dough that has to withstand a very soggy filling, you know?
So you're using the paddle attachment, and that's cutting in the butter and incorporating the butter, and it was frozen. And so how long are you going to let it run there?
Honestly, until it's ready, right? My grandmother, she grew up in the Dominican Republic. She didn't go past second grade. She honestly didn't read or write, right? So these instructions that I write in recipes are for us. But honestly, we should be cooking by feeling, we should be cooking by touch, we should be cooking by ratios, because honestly, back in the day, our ancestors did not have the resources and yet made all of the stuff that we have today. So we just watch it, we pay attention to it, we make sure we're touching it. Is it good? Is it not good?
How should it feel when you touch it?
Well, you're going to be looking for size indicators.
Yes.
There's going to be a few of the, I call them quarter size, you know, then a few pea size, then a few little secret agents that are just in the dough. You don't even know what it is. It's just a random piece of whatever, and that's going to be the guy that really melts down and releases all that air, you know, to make a beautiful pie dough.
Nice, like fluffy. That's where you get that fluffy, crunchy, that flaky pop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do think, remember when I said that I don't need that bowl of water? I did. I really did. Oopsies. But as we're letting this kind of come together, we're making sure that the machinery, well, this machine that was invented by a black man, if you didn't know, thank you, black people.
Thank you, black people. Thank you, ancestors.
This machine, you know, is doing all of the hard work for us. Our body temperature, it stays at a very consistent, I mean, unless you're sick or something's happening. But if we work the dough with our physical hands, it's going to overwork, it's going to be too hard, too elastic, and it's going to give you a pie dough that is going to be tough, right? So we're using this machine as a catalyst of our hands.
Thank you for saying that, because as somebody who makes pie dough from scratch, I always like to use a machine to cut the butter, and there's always somebody who in the comments will say,
the comments.
well, no, you should just use your hands. And
What if I have pretty nails?
What if I have pretty nails? And I love what you just said about it's doing all the work. And look at this beautiful.
So here is the camera. Where
The
is
camera's up there. I can.
Hi.
Yeah, look at all the peas.
So you have a few of those quarter size, you have a few of the pea size, and then you have the secret agents in here. And now we're going to incorporate some water. So I was talking to Chef Michael, who helped me all week. Hi, come. Let everybody see your
Chef
face.
Michael. Hi, everybody. Everybody. Chef Michael, everybody.
Thank you. High five. And honestly, he was asking me, well, what is the measurement? Because I said, in my recipe, it says as needed. Oops, I'm sorry, you know? But honestly, it's as needed because when we made our original pie dough for the marketplace, it was raining. Yeah. And that moisture in the air is going to duplicate the water intake of the flour, right? We tried to protect the flour a little bit with the butter, which is what we're doing now, and also protecting the butter with the flour so that when it bakes, the air releases, right? But with this, we're just going to start it, and then we're just going to look at it. Like I said, we're supposed to be looking at our baked goods. That's why it's supposed to be therapeutic. You're not supposed to be like, okay, this, and then here, and then, that's why you gotta bake with love.
You've got to bake with love. You've got to climb down into the bowl.
So we're gonna pour in some water. I think I'm making a mess. Uh-oh. Well,
I mean, that's why we have towels.
you know, I'm the chef. I can't help it. We always make little messes. Not the She was like, So, we're gonna keep adding water. And this is going to help the dough become elastic. It's going to give you some gluten formation, but also it's going to make sure that the proper hydration of your dough it depends on the type of filling. If you have apple pie, you don't want a super soft pie crust, right? Because that apple is going to release a lot of moisture. And then if you have something that's a little drier, you know, or if something that you're par baking, you want a little bit of a drier crust. So we're going to go in.
I love the science of hydration. We get in all the...
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm a nerd.
No, it's like... I mean, I think that's why bakers tend to be a little nerdy because, you know, there's like all of the science that goes into it that makes it really fun.
And I think, honestly, like I said, baking is a science, but it's an applied science. Oh, I forgot the rum. Oh, oh no. We're going to use some of that applied science technique in here. So, we're going to go in, and this is what I love about baking and pastry, is that even if you mess up, if you learn the ratios, you'll never truly mess up because you'll know what to do when something goes awry.
Which requires some patience, right? That is being able to recognize that, oh, well, I can fix it. There's this idea that if you're making pastry, that if you make a small adjustment, that you have to start over, but that's not necessarily the case. Look, you're using all the flour, dusting it out.
So, the rum is really important because it evaporates while it bakes, and it gives you that extra super, super, super crunchy crust that everybody loves.
That crust is gorgeous.
And hidden in between here is going to be some butter chunks, you know, which is why I leave some of the, you know, bigger pieces because I am lazy and I forget to do stuff, you know. But, alas, baking is not supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be fun, and if you're not really good at it, it's still cake.
Cannot argue.
So, what we're doing here is we're making sure, I want you to feel this. This dough is so elastic, it's so perfect, I think.
Oh yeah, that's good dough. That's good dough. Nice and cold. You get a nice little dimple in the dough. And yeah, and that's where the therapy really comes in. You get to massage it.
But you can see even here, that butter chunk just peeking through. And even though I messed up, I fudged it up a little bit, you know.
I don't see what she's talking about here. I don't see the big butter chunk. I see some really beautiful dough. Oh, okay, I believe you.
That butter chunk is going to be a pocket of explosive flavor. I think butter belongs in everything, but also, you know, that's just me. Anyway, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make sure that we're gonna wrap our dough, because we can't always work with it right away. You can, but that beautiful butter and all of the process that we had to maintain the chill of the dough goes away if you work with it right now.
Right.
So we're going to put it away. We're going to work on something else. And I already made another dough, so.
I mean, but this is another good
Thank you, Chef.
pie metaphor, that pie needs rest.
Mm-hmm. Just like we do.
In pies and in life, we need rest.
So, I grabbed so many paper towels. Lordy, lordy. Don't judge me, guys. But we're going to save this one for later. Nobody else is going to use it. But we're actually going to make, as that rests, for this, we're going to take it because everybody here is not a home cook, right? And while we can use this pie dough, if we just stop here, this is for anybody at home. But now this is for folks in restaurants, you know, because we gotta chef it up a little bit, right? But, so we're gonna actually make banana foam using an ISI container. So we're gonna take our beautiful mixer, oh, not mixer, what is this called again?
Vitamix.
Oh, can we say that?
I don't know if we can say that.
No, we can't.
Oh,
Blender.
Blender.
Yeah. Don't sue us, Vitamix, blah, blah, blah. You know, the people from the, you know, big companies, don't sue us, please. I don't have that kind of money. Anyways, so originally this recipe, I would take bananas that are way past their time, which in restaurants, I don't know, maybe it's the humidity, maybe it's like the hustle and bustle, maybe it's just the stinky armpits of the cooks, I don't know. But bananas always go bad, right? So you always want to find things to utilize them for. If you're not using them as vegan alternative eggs, you can make banana foam instead. So we're going to take our puree that I dyed yellow because I'm a child and I love colors. And I'm not a child, just in case anybody's wondering. I'm over 30. Anyways, but thanks, Chef. And we're going to put this in the blender. Make sure I don't make a mess. This guy, the other day I was making nasturtium pastry cream, and I was blanching the nasturtiums, and I put the hot liquid, and I had a faulty mixer, and everything said, but it hit my face.
Oh.
And I was like, oh no, and I dived into like some water. And then I was like, I'm okay. And I was like, wow, my life is crazy. But the pastry cream turned out delightful, though.
Well, so that was, I was trying not to ask that question. I was like, but how did the cream turn out? I was like, because I was happy to know that you were fine.
Sometimes as chefs, you know, we're not fine, and we have to make sure that the integrity of the product remains safe, you know? Like, I almost dropped a Paco Jet once when I was a line cook, and I let the Paco Jet take me to heaven. I did. I wasn't going to get fired for breaking that thing. No way. That's a chef joke. Thanks for laughing, guys. So we're going to turn on our blender, right? We're going to put in our salt. We're going to put in our xanthan. Should I slow down? Am I going too fast? And then we're going to put in our Versa Whip. And this is one of those things that chefs that are purists are going to be like, boo. And then everybody that works at a Michelin star restaurant is like, yeah, you know. So here we are. A little best of both worlds. A little bit of the old and the new. Then we're just going to make sure that that Versa Whip is fully emulsified.
Turn it up, crank it up, turn it up.
Is that what you're singing? So now it's beautiful, it's amazing.
That color is glorious.
Hopefully the other one that I made before is like as pretty, or else I'm just gonna be like, and now we're not making banana foam. But
we're gonna make it work.
I think so, right? Sometimes you make mistakes in baking, that's okay. So this guy, what we would do is we would put it in an ISI container, and we would let it chill overnight, at least overnight. We add the food coloring actually for a purpose, not just because I'm childish. It's because bananas oxidize the longer that they sit out, and with this food coloring, it kind of deters the guests from noticing that there's some oxidation happening. Because when they see something like that happening, they think it's old, it's bad. And it's just nature being nature. And sometimes as a chef, you have to retrain nature to do the things that we need it to do because we need to prep ahead, you know? So, thank you, chef. Just gonna put that in our imaginary ISI container. And now we have our filled one. And then we're gonna charge it up. Hopefully it doesn't like explode on me, chef.
I think we're good.
I know. You think? You think? Well, wish me luck, guys. We're gonna charge it with 2 charges. Ugh.
A little blast off. No, so is there an equivalent that home cooks can use?
Oh yeah, they can buy it in ISI. They sell them at, oh no, I can't say that store. They sell them at major retail stores and a very, very prominent, scary online retailer that ships in 2 days or less. Oh! You saw those reflexes? I'm like Spider-Man. Oh, I can't say that either. Jesus, we're gonna get sued. Oh my gosh. Okay,
This is why God made editors.
Oh my God, this one's empty. Oh, no, it's not. Ah! Do you have something that I can maybe test it out in? I'm scared. I might do this over here because you look so pretty. Oh my gosh.
Tell my mom I dressed myself today.
Okay.
Oh! It's aggressive. Oh, gorgeous.
Then we have our banana foam. It's not supposed to be 100% like whipped cream, right? Because it's not whipped cream. But we have this beautiful texture that is going to be so wonderful with our brown butter dust and our tamarind pecan pie. But that banana and that tamarind just pairs so lovely, so nicely. And it's just, it takes it to the next level. I actually plated it at the James Beard dinner where we first met.
Mm-hmm. And you had me at brown butter dust. Can you talk about brown butter dust?
Oh, brown butter dust. I'm not demoing it for you guys because I'm afraid that I'm going to run out of time because I talk so much and we only have 25 minutes left. So I want to make sure that we have, time for questions and...
Fair enough.
So we're going to roll out our dough while we talk about brown butter dust. So brown butter dust is just brown butter with a little bit of maltodextrin in it. You kind of caramelize it until it's nice and golden. You don't want it to go all the way to dark, right? You want it to be nice and golden because it gives it a nutty, well, can I say that? I'm from the Bronx. I was like, hey, yo. Sorry, guys. I'm childish. I told you guys. But, you want it to have layers of flavor, right? Because when we bake our tamarind pecan pie, the crust is going to over caramelize, right? Because we have the tamarind, the corn syrup, just baking in an oven, right? And this is just going to be have you ever seen like apple pie with like a little bit of butter on top?
Yeah, a little crumble on top. Yeah.
This is that.
I love that.
A little more restaurant version,
I love that you call it brown butter dust.
Yeah.
It just sounds so sexy.
I think maybe you can try it. It's literally butter, but...
Oh, I get to eat something. Thank you, Chef.
It's literally just butter.
But it does have that nutty quality that is like so beautiful in a crumble that's on a
Pie.
muffin
Yeah,
or
yeah.
pie. Yeah, that
Oh,
sounds.
you mean like the streusel?
The streusel.
Oh, I never
Yeah,
thought
but
about
that
it
has
way.
that same nutty texture that just makes a blueberry muffin a lot better than a regular blueberry muffin.
I agree.
Look how my voice went all high talking about her brown butter dust. So you're rolling out your pastry. Do you measure first? Do you use any of those tools, or do you just roll it out? Just what I guess I want to know is.
I measured it.
You measured it, yes.
Honestly, no, I do it all by sight now. When I was a line cook, I would just practice, and I think truly practice does make perfect, and honestly, if you have to kind of develop your own, pie technique and do what you want to do. The world is your oyster. I can't say that word all the time, but I think I said it correctly today. Oyster. Gosh, I'm from New York.
Well done.
Thank you. Oyster, coffee, New York. Anyways, so here we have our dough. I usually save the scraps for a second roll because I don't believe in waste. And honestly, the second roll is just as good as the first one. The first one's going to be lovely, divine even. But use the second roll, that's okay. You're going to have to kick it up to high gear because I don't want to run out of time. Oh my gosh. Oh, is there a noise? There is a little buzzing noise. Oh, excuse me, camera. I'm having a demo. Thank you, Jennifer. So, because I have nails, I kind of use everything but my fingertips to do this. And there's people online that also hate my nails too, and my rings, and my hair, and me. But here we go.
The internet is not real. This is the real deal.
Haters will be haters. Oy vey. So I just did a beautiful little design, and I like to press it down to make sure that when it bakes, it doesn't go over. And then I make sure that I kind of, the same round that you would use for a cake when you're about to put it in your freezer, that's all you have to use. And then this is your frozen pie dough. So we're going to put that here, and we're actually going to make our filling. Tamarind. Make sure that's the good stuff. Butter. That's melted already. You can actually even take some golden butter or some brown butter if you want to. You can use, duck fat. You can use bacon, fat as well. The world is truly a wonderful place when you have no limitations.
Duck fat sounds divine.
So here you have some corn syrup as well. And you can make your own corn syrup. There's a lot that the internet, I'm not going to show you guys how to do that today, but you can make it with palm sugar, you can make it with coconut sugar. There's a lot that you can do in this world. So this is as easy as pie.
Do you always whisk the filling by hand, or do you sometimes put that in the machine?
When it's smaller fillings, yes. Put in your sugar. Well, the humidity. Oh, thank you. Gonna make sure we mix this up nicely. And I mean, if you're at home, when you go home and your restaurants, throw in some grains of paradise to this, and it's gonna turn it into next level. I did a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of salt. Now finally, the star.
The star of the show.
okay. We're gonna use this guy, I think. Yeah, I think we're fine. Sometimes I make a backup in case I make them oopsies, you know? Then we're gonna fill this guy up. I always kind of go, I don't want to go all the way because it will overflow if you're not careful, right? Which is always so sad. But because you always have extra pie dough, I always make mini pie doughs as well.
I always love a little spare. I always make a little spare pie.
That's what that's how I test if the pie is good when I make it for folks, because then you don't have to break into the actual pie, You just kind of
have a little extra.
Exactly. So go ahead. And honestly, I like to fold in my, I guess we're in California, right? So if we were in the South, I guess I would say pecans, right? And I say pecans, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I say pecans.
You do?
Is there an argument? How many people say pecans? And how many people say pecans?
Oh.
Some people, it's like two-thirds pecans and 1/3 pecan. So I think it really just depends on where you are in the diaspora.
That's true. I'm Dominican, so I don't even know. Nelson, how we say pecans? El pecans or something, I don't know. My mom's gonna be like, ay, Paola. There's probably a word for it, but I don't know it. But I go in and a little bit of egg wash, no sugar, as I think the pie is already perfectly balanced as is. And then I return this guy to the freezer. Thank you. Oh.
Rest. We always need rest.
And then 4 hours later, oh my gosh, whoa. Oh, this is amazing. I have a pie. Oh my goodness, now we're going to put it in the oven.
Magic of
And
television.
wow, my God! It's warm too.
Oh my gosh, it's so warm. It's so beautiful. I love that little design from the cut.
Thank you.
The cut and the knuckles. You will be seeing that at my pie party this year.
But, so now what I like to do with this guy, I kind of check to see if it's nice and loose, and then I kind of give it a little wiggle. Sometimes they get stuck on the bottom, and sometimes you gotta be gentle and just kind of like loosen it up. Earlier we were struggling with that too. Oh, thank you, chef. Yeah. Oh, it's stuck. Oh, okay. You sure? Oh my God, I'm flammable. I have mousse in this hair. Oh my gosh. Wait, let's see if we're gonna just be able to cut it. So because you see like the crust here, we're gonna go over to you. See what I was talking about? That beautiful.
That caramelized.
It's the best.
It's gorgeous.
And the Dominican Republic, until I was like 12, 13, I lived half and half, right? Half here because my mom, she had just moved here when she became pregnant with me. She would bring me back every year, and I lived and went to school. After I finished American school, I would go to Dominican school. Awful. Totally awful. Cute uniform. Either way. But, we didn't have a bathroom. We had an outhouse until I was like 12, right? And we didn't have a kitchen. We only had something that we call a fogón, which is a wood fire kitchen. That's in the back, separate from the house, obviously, because they don't want to burn down the house, And then you would cook everything on wood fire. So to me, when I cook, I incorporate elements of smokiness, of burnt, because that is naturally occurring in my family's food, my legacy, right? So for me, when I taste those things, it brings my abuela, Mama Paulina's, legacy through this food. It's not the same food. She's probably looking up from heaven like, what?
But it's yours.
Yeah.
It's yours. It's you, and it's yours. And that's so much of what we've been talking about is reclaiming so much of our history and our heritage and making things our own.
Absolutely.
That is gorgeous.
Ooh, I'm scared. I don't want to cut myself on a live webcast. That'd be scary. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't just. I know, guys. It's like comedy, like morbid comedy. Let's see if my little jiggling worked. Nah, we gotta keep cutting. It's okay. That's what happens when you make too good of a pie. You could see it, you could hear it. I don't know.
The crust has,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, it has that really wonderful crispy sound. It's so exciting just to hear you cutting into the pie.
I'm like so scared. I also break pies because I'm impatient. I'm always like, yeah. And then people are like, oh, Paola. And by people, I just mean my husband. If you're watching this, hi, Hector, I love you.
How old were you when you started making this pie?
This pie, honestly, there's been renditions of it, but I would say that in 2012, I would utilize my baking skills to buy feminine hygiene products for girls in Bushwick and Flatbush. I didn't have a lot of money. I was making maybe $8, $9 an hour on a very good job. And then I would try my very best to fundraise for them because I grew up also with a mom that, had to skip meals to make sure that I ate, right? And I wanted to make sure that those girls could learn how to bake pie but also never had to be without, So I would just try wacky ideas, and I would set up by the L train in Bedford, and I would just sell weird baked goods. And I think it was appropriate for the time. I'm not sure now. Inflation and everything would maybe be too expensive, but. Yay. I don't know if you can see it, but there's the crust. I would flip it, but it's a little warm, so it's gonna droop a little bit. Yeah. But at a restaurant, I would serve it like so. Where are my flowers? I love flowers. My name is Paola Velez, and that means small orchid. So if you follow me online, that's the mystery of my name. I'm sorry I'm not more creative. Sorry to disappoint you. Now we're going to go back to this foam thing. Oh, Lord. Oh, gosh. I think I might need a little... I'm scared, y'all. This outfit is kind of nice, Oh, gosh. Oh, well, la-dee-da.
Gorgeous.
And I love using nasturtium flowers for the pepperiness. Everything that I do with my edible flowers actually has a purpose. And the vendors that I work with always send me, depending on the type of dish that I'm making, we talk about it for months, and the folks at Fresh Origins really, they're not going to sue me because I like them a lot. But, they call me and they ask me, what are you going to do on your demo? What are you going to do for this dish, for this event? And they talk me through all of their varietals, and everything has a purpose,
So much intent.
Mm-hmm. I mean, flowers are pretty, right? But they also have to have a real reason as to why they're on the plate, or else it's just leaves. And then I think we're going to leave these guys as is. But yeah, that's it.
Tamarind, pecan pie. Absolutely beautiful. So we have a few minutes left. So, this is gorgeous as is. Is there any other way that you would serve your tamarind pecan pie?
As is.
As is.
As is, with a little bit of powdered sugar, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Serve it for your Thanksgiving table. Make new memories. Make new legacies. Do what we can to break generational curses and make our future's brighter for our children and our grandchildren, and so on and so on.
Paola Velez, everybody. Hi, Paola. We have a couple of minutes left. Does anybody have any questions they want to shout out while we have just a couple of minutes left? Go ahead.
Paola, thank you for this. What are some other examples of desserts that show that African Latino?
Oh, my favorite, plantain sticky buns. I use Philadelphia-style sticky buns, and I make, instead of using butter and sugar, brown sugar, I stew plantains in warm spices and a little bit of brown sugar, just a touch, but I make sure the plantains are overripe, like it's just so far gone that you're like, this absolutely can't be usable. And that's when they're the sweetest. That's when they're absolutely candy from heaven, you know, and you turn that into a paste, you rub it all on your beautiful brioche, you roll it up, and you cut it, and then you make pan caramel. There's a video out there if you want to see it, but you serve it with your, you know, nuts of choice. I use pecans because I love them, but you can use walnuts, you can use cashews. I did a blueberry plantain sticky bean the other day. That was really awesome with cashews, but turn it over, serve it with some warm ice cream, and that's it.
That sounds absolutely delicious. So we will be following up at Small Orchids to find that recipe.
For sure.
Because that sounds amazing. Thank you, Paola Velez.
Thank you.
Culinary Institute of America, again, thank you, and the sponsors for making this all possible. Thank you all for being here. We'll be following up with Pies with Paola.
Yeah.
We're so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Paola. Thank you, Jamila. That was a wonderful demo to end our day. When we were putting the program together, Rupa Bhattacharya, our executive director, said, we were like, it's going to be 55 minutes. That's a long time. And she was like, Paola will bring it. And so she did. And, we also just wanted to make sure that we were, amongst all of the things that we were representing and demoing and talking about, that we had baking and pastry in there also, because it's so important. And so thank you for being here today. Thank you to all of our presenters. I think it's just, we've been to so many places today, from Ghana to Charleston, to the Dominican Republic, to Cuba, and seeing the influence that African foodways and culture has had on all of those diasporic places. And so just a wonderful day, a really invigorating day, a really delicious day. And so tomorrow we look forward to thinking about the future. We'll have some more demos. And I am gonna go ahead. And let's see if we can, there we go. If you've been with us before, we love a good evaluation, and we love to hear your feedback, and we really do. The operations team, the program team, all of us really look at these evaluations and what you have to say. So we'd love for you to do that, to fill that out. And we will send information out after also. And then, so another sort of new thing that we're going to do shortly, and this is especially for the people watching via webcast, is that we are going to do a quick Instagram Live after party. So we'll have Therese Nelson of Black Culinary History, who was the chair of our advisory committee, and we'll have Rupa Bhattacharya, and hopefully some presenters that we can sort of grab along the way, just a super casual way to end, to just talk about these 2 days and what to expect tomorrow, and some of the issues and the exciting things that we've been talking about at this conference. And so we'll close. We will meet again 8 a.m. for breakfast. And then our first morning session will be reframing our relationship with the African diaspora. So thank you very much.
From Kingston, Jamaica, the largest English-speaking city south of Miami, where cool reggae rhythms provide the background music for diners feasting on fiery hot jerk chicken, to San Juan's elegant dining rooms, where the clientele is as sophisticated as any in the world, to Tobago's beachside food stalls that offer treats that play on the sea's rich bounty. The Caribbean islands of Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and Trinidad and Tobago offer a complex world of flavors where fine dining can be found side by side with a staggering array of street eats and finger-licking beach treats. Visit a region that is as familiar as fried chicken and as exotic as breadfruit and jackfruit. As we shop in markets that seem transported from the African continent, sample traditional dishes that were eaten in the region before the arrival of Columbus, and visit fine dining restaurants that equal any in the world. We'll stop in the kitchens of Chef Willow Bennett, a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, who is transforming the traditional dishes of his native island into a nueva cocina puertorriqueña, a new Puerto Rican cuisine where past traditions inform modernist masterpieces. We'll watch as Chef Khalid Mohammed of Chaud Restaurant in Trinidad gives us a taste of two Trinidadian classics, and see a new generation of chefs improvising on the hearty foods of Jamaica. Hi, I'm Jessica Harris. I'm a culinary historian and a cookbook author, and for the past 40 years I've been traveling to the Caribbean region looking at food and culture. Most travelers never venture beyond the tourist enclaves, but I've made friends who will be our guides. So join us on this culinary voyage through the Caribbean, where we'll see the countries and the cuisines beyond the beaches. We'll investigate the region's core recipes, demystifying the classics, learning as pitmasters prepare a jerk rub of fiery Scotch bonnet chilies. We'll see land crab empanadillas prepared on a griddle made from tin sheeting and discover a whole repertoire of sweets and candies. We'll even learn a bit about rum, the drink that is one of the region's major exports. We'll meet local chefs, jerk pitmasters, and some of the island's best cooks. We'll visit vibrant tropical markets, learn the Caribbean market basket, and see how each island adds its own ingredients and gives them its own unique flavor. We'll sample flavorful soups from roadside stands and savor beach treats like Puerto Rico's alcapurrias and Trinidad's bacon shark, and delight in the true tastes of the Caribbean. Savoring the best of world flavors, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Trinidad and Tobago, is the 7th edition of the Culinary Institute of America's World Culinary Arts DVD series, a first-of-its-kind DVD reference library documenting the gold standard of world cuisine. In this volume, we'll explore markets, food stalls, roadside stands, and restaurants, and watch as their leading food authorities, chefs, and local experts discuss ingredients, present classic dishes, and demonstrate culinary techniques in step-by-step detail. Each region has signature dishes that bring a nostalgic smile to the faces of the island's locals and present the best flavors of their culture on a plate. Joining us on our journey is Steve Gilliba, certified master chef and corporate executive chef of Unilever Food Solutions. Steve knows a bit about the Caribbean, but he really discovers its true tastes as we travel to the region. American diners are increasingly adventurous, and many have now nibbled their way around the world. Today's restaurant customers are fascinated by bold, exotic flavors that build on techniques offering innovative twists on the traditional. Through this revolutionary series, the Culinary Institute of America seeks to document and preserve traditional foodways, offering chefs new inspiration and insights into authentic world flavors. More than one food writer has accused Caribbean cuisine of being repetitious regardless of country. How wrong they are. The main ingredients, root vegetables, leafy greens, fish and fowl, do indeed turn up on most of the tables in the region, but each island nation has its own unique flavor profile. The flat-leaf cilantro-like herb known as culantro goes into the Puerto Rican sofrito, and also turns up in Trinidad's green seasoning. But while one is used in dishes that bring the mild taste of Spain to the table, the other accentuates the vivid flavors of India and Africa in Trinidadian dishes, and is even drizzled on the Trinidadian beach specialty, bake and shark. We'll prepare both of them and sample myriad local hot sauces and condiments. We'll taste the cassava bread of the Arawak that Columbus wrote about in his journals, and we'll sample true Jamaican jerk as it was originally developed in the Blue Mountains by freed slaves known as the Maroons. Journey with us as we investigate the local island markets, discovering the vast array of tropical fruits and vegetables that go into the pots. Taste hearty stews, substantial side dishes, and flavorful fish. And savor the true tastes of the Caribbean islands of Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. There are goats gamboling in the grasses along the side of the road as we make our way north, reminding us that curry goat is a Jamaican tradition. Some Jamaicans argue that a party is not a real party unless there's curry goat. We sample it at Belfield Great House, an 18th century plantation that offers a trip into Jamaica's past. General manager and native Jamaican Michelle Rousseau's culinary background allows her to present the Jamaican classics like curry goat with new twists.
So we cooked the goat outside on a coal pot stove, and when we're finishing it, after we've cooked it in that traditional fashion, we add some coconut milk, which would not traditionally be used in the way that Jamaicans would prepare curry goat. We season it with a bit of ginger to bring in some of that East Indian influence as well, and then we put fresh mango and some white rum in there. And for presentation purposes, we serve it with a coconut rice pilaf, but we also serve some curried chickpeas, and then the whole slew of fresh chutneys and salsas and relishes and garnishes that really are more present in Caribbean cuisine in places like Trinidad, but would not traditionally be eaten here. So we did a really nice papaya salsa and a fresh banana and mango chutney and pickled onions and some cucumber and in yogurt, and really a variety of things. So we believe that you should be able to create the flavor of your own dish. So what we're going to do is really demonstrate for you today a traditional dish of Jamaican curry goat. It's considered the second most popular national dish. I would say after ackee and saltfish, it's probably the most consumed dish locally. And it is the perfect example of fusion cuisine from the 1800s, because goats were existing in Jamaica very early on, but were prohibited from the plantations, and slaves were not allowed to own goats, although they could own sheep and cows and pigs and other animals, and they were consumed mostly by after the immigration of indentured laborers from India, who consumed a lot of mutton in India, and so they brought with them the technique of curry, and the two merged, and it's now become a very classic dish in Jamaica today. It's something that we use for a lot of festive occasions at wastes, or what they call 9 nights, but also at the end of a construction site or in any big celebration. They will kill a goat and have what you call a goat feed, and make a coal pot curry goat, which is what we're going to demonstrate today, as well as manish water, which is a soup that takes the innards of the goat and all of the intestines and makes a very hearty, tasty soup with pumpkin and seasonings and spices and typical Caribbean flavors. So we'll do a traditional version, and then we'll show you ways to modernize the dish as well. So here we have some local mutton or goat, what they used to call kid mutton back in the day. So we are going to marinate that, typically with some salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic, thyme, and some curry powder. And cooking in Jamaica is like a process that is an ongoing, long process. We actually start the process of cooking a couple of days before we intend to cook the dish, unless you're cooking a fresh slaughtered piece of meat, which we don't do. So we would marinate it and have it sit for a while. A little bit more curry to that. Now I'm not actually going to use a Scotch bonnet to marinate the goat, because I'm going to add it to the dish itself while I'm cooking. So that would sit for at least 3 or so hours, and then now we have a nice Dutch pot over here on a cold flame. So I'm adding a little bit of coconut oil. We're going to add the goat meat, which we're going to brown slightly. It really is a sort of a stew, but when I like to do it I like to sear the meat first because it brings out the flavor a bit more. And to that, we shall add some diced onion, a little bit of diced garlic. I like to add ginger, although traditionally they don't, so I'll add a little ginger to that. Scotch bonnet. Now, depending on how hot you like it, you can play with that quantity. Thyme is a must. The 4 basic seasonings in Jamaican cooking that must be in everything: scallion, thyme, tomato, Scotch bonnet pepper. Our version of a mirepoix, I guess. The difficult thing about a coal fire is that you can't control the heat, but the good thing is it gets really nice and hot. So then to that now I'm going to add a little bit of more curry powder, which I'll allow to cook a bit, and some scallion. So you can already kind of smell it coming together, but it's really quite, it's a dish that, you know, when you had a whole goat would sit and stew from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. they say, and then it would be served no earlier than 1:30 after we had, the people had been able to consume a minimum of 4 glasses of rum. So they were well hungry, as it is says in one of an old recipe that I found for curry goat, and they were, I think, well tipsy is what I would say after 4 glasses of rum on an empty stomach. So add a little salt and pepper there, and then to that, to thicken it, we use some potato. Traditionally, you would have used maybe, you know, cocoa, or you can use any sort of ground provision, but we're using Irish potato. So when we add water to this now and it cooks down, that helps to thicken the stew. And then some carrots. Really very simple. All of the flavor comes in the cooking process. So we'll add a little bit of water to that just to cover. Bring that to a boil. And then let it simmer for a good number of hours, at least 2 hours to 3 hours, so the meat gets nice and tender. So this is what we have after we've simmered the goat for about 2 hours. And this is absolutely perfect to serve as it is. You can just adjust the seasoning with salt and pepper. But if you want to make it into more of like a modern nouvelle type flavored dish, we add a little bit of white rum, just a touch. A lot of it will evaporate anyway. And we add a little bit of coconut milk powder, because traditionally it would not be cooked with coconut milk, but it really just gives the sauce some depth of flavor. And I like to add some fresh diced mango and let that stew down for maybe another 45 minutes. It lightens the color of the goat a bit, but it really gives it a slight sweetness to the dish that traditionally is not how it would be eaten. So this is a breadfruit which came off of our tree right here on the estate, and it came to Jamaica with Captain Blythe from Tahiti. It looks like this green, but it has a sort of meaty, soft fruit center that we roast on an open flame, and it gets really charred and lovely, and then you have this texture which is like the texture of bread, thus I think the name breadfruit. But we would serve this typically with a little bit of butter, fresh hot roasted from the fire. If you have old breadfruit, you can fry it and it can make great breadfruit chips, and it's really nice on the side of a little bit of curry, so because it sops up that gravy in a most delicious way. Let's serve up this curry goat now, because we have this lovely breadfruit to sop up all of the delicious gravy with the coconut milk and the mango and the Local goat can be a bit bony, so you have to mind the bones when you eat, but it's worth every bite. So here you go, Jamaican curry goat with roasted breadfruit, done on a coal pot fire right here at Belfield Great House.
Trinidad street food abounds with Indian names like Sahina, Aloo Pie, and Baghani. Trinis, as Trinidadians call themselves, are born nibblers. Eating on the street is a way of life, and at times it seems as though everyone is munching away on a snack, sipping from a coconut, or lined up awaiting the next tidbit. Visiting a local stand, Deborah treats Steve to a range of Trinidadian street food.
All right, so Steve, here we have a sahina, which is basically the callaloo that was basically flattened, and in between there we have the sweet peas as a fritter. And what we've done is we've opened it up and filled it with a little bit of mango, a little mango chutney, sweet and sour with a little bit of spice, so you get a balance. This is going to be salty, and I want you to
So
Cut it off a little piece.
this is done raw, the callaloo, yeah?
And then fried.
And just fried.
It's
So
blanched. It's blanched.
Oh, it is blanched first.
Yes,
then.
so that
Okay.
it allows it to be pliable. And did you taste a little bit of the sweetness and a little
I
pepper
got
of the
more of
mango?
the greenness on it,
Right.
the mango.
Okay, so
But very,
pull another piece.
KB. Very good though.
Yeah? Yeah,
Now
nice
I got the
and
mango
right,
sweetness.
little sweetness that
Very
contrasts.
nice.
Now we put a little bit, traditionally you put a little bit more, or you may even have a little bit of a chickpea. So you're gonna have an aloe or potato pie next with a little bit of the chana in it, so you get to see the difference. Okay?
Oh, that's excellent.
And this is called sahina.
Sahina.
Yes. Okay. This one, by the time you finish, you're gonna get full. This is an aloe pie, which is basically a light dough that is fried with potato in it. And because we also have a lot of vegetarians, to make it a complete meal, the options are for you to put it with a little bit of a chana filling, and we also put a little bit of hot sauce to give you a little kick, and the sweetness to counterbalance a little bit of mango sauce.
So they kind of customize what
Yes.
you ask for. And,
Yes, you can have the basics, but then you can also make it a complete meal, something that's
and
filling.
the potato's right in the dough.
In the base. No, it's actually
on the
filled
bottom.
in, but on the bottom. If you look right here, you see a little bit of potato.
That's really good too.
Yeah, nice and light.
Get a little spice.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a hot sauce. I guess that's the hot
I told you
sauce.
to put a little bit of the hot sauce, and then you're gonna get a little sweetness with the mango. So you're kind of getting a little bit of, a little bit of sweet sour.
This is a breakfast food,
This
or
would be a breakfast or a mid-morning snack. Now you want something just before, and some people would probably have 2 or 3 of these, and for them, if you're not a heavy lunch person, with a nice cold beverage, and you're good to go. But it's a complete meal in the sense of having the protein if you're vegetarian. It's nice and hot, so
really nicely done.
And now we have another fritter. This is an eggplant based, or baigani, but eggplant based fritter. What she's put in it is just a little bit of hot sauce and a little bit of the sweet mango sauce, so you can get the real essence of the eggplant.
So they're filling this afterwards with the eggplant.
Yeah.
So it's a
No, the eggplant is the first,
in the fritter.
in the fritter, and then you add the various condiments and relish. So like any kind of sauce, any pepper sauce.
So it's the same dough that they're using for both. Base dough.
For the
and
fritters.
So one had potato, one had eggplant. And
Right, but this is a different.
That's a different. That's
more
more of a.
peas, more
That's
of a
more
lentil
liquid,
base,
right?
more of a lentil base, where this is more of a flour base.
Well, I see some in the back.
You see the
eggplant there?
Yeah.
Oh, I really like this one.
Yeah. Okay, this is doubles, which is, I would call it the official breakfast food of Trinidad and Tobago. This
So
is a
it's 2?
bara, so you can basically show them. Very light, fried, and basically filled with, traditionally, would be the chana, some sort of sweet sauce or hot sauce. Could be tamarind, could be cucumber relish. We have a little pepper sauce. Some people go heavy on the pepper, some people say no pepper. But the idea is to put the next one on top. And then this is really like just get in there and pull it
And
together.
make a mess.
Yeah. So you gotta hold it and you gotta
All right, let me try this. Oh, you got to
take
pull?
your hand and there you
Oh,
go.
this is messy.
And
You're
kind
gonna
of
train me how to eat
and
is the
dip it
problem.
and kind of okay. I don't want
Go ahead.
dip it in. Scoop it in there and get some of that chana.
They're all really good. This had a little more sweetness.
Yes.
The dough?
It's a little bit of the sauce that she put on for you.
Okay.
The chana is just kind of melts in your mouth, really nice and soft. But that's kind of like, you put that and you just kind of dig in and
That's the hard part. Or the hard part to get
I
used
gotta leave the
to.
camera.
You know?
Yes, yeah, there you go.